Well, one of the great things about city living is the opportunity to live in a historic row home like we have here on Front Street. I know that when my wife and I first moved to the city, we lived just down the street in Shipehoke, also on Front Street. And some of the amazing details of that house are also here, and it's shared by all sort of Victorian row houses. The first thing is look at the size of these ceilings. I mean, they're very high. We used to fill the walls with bookshelves. You've got rooms for all sorts of display. And since we're dealing with a house that was built prior to the invention of electricity, you always have these gorgeous windows letting in so much natural light. So that if you look out on right here on the Front Street, you see these giant windows, all of which have been sort of upgraded with modern storms, but which still have that historic woodwork and all the charm and all the natural light filtering in. You also have these great hardwood floors, which if you're watching at home, you can't appreciate it. You can smell the finish. It just has that wonderful sort of creaky, historic, beautiful floor filled with character, filled with age. You can think of the conversations that were had here by the Briggs family in the middle of the Civil War. What did they think when they looked out when they saw that the Confederates had reached their high water mark just on the other side of the Susquehanna? What were they thinking when they took the risk to sort of build this building at the same time as the John Harris Simon Cameron mansion, right in the middle of the Civil War, as the mansion was being upgraded then too. But then you have all these modern amenities that have really taken what was a historic structure and completely modernized it for luxury living. You have the sort of beautiful appliances and the granite countertops and the stainless steel sinks and the industrial lights. All of that is beautiful, but you've done the other thing, and we didn't have this when we moved into our unrenovated townhome, but you have air conditioning, of course, and you've got ducts, and you've got sprinklers. So it's as safe and as beautiful as ever before. And even the walls, if you can appreciate the walls, they have such character. It's not drywall. It's plaster. You can see the cracks and the age and the time that has been here. If walls could talk, you could think of the conversations. And they've done a really nice job down here of renovating these bathrooms so that the bathrooms are truly modern. I don't know who else has a bathroom with such a view. Look at that. There's City Hall. There is the downtown. There's parking here. There are individual AC and heating units you can see out there on the beautiful roof. Very nice fire escape. Really, you could pick no more central location to want to live in the city. But check out the showers. Aren't those cool? They are fully tiled, beautiful modern showers. And look who's here! We're joined by Mr. Ralph Bartan, who's come up to check on the tour.
What do you think, Mayor?
I got to say, I love it. I love it. But you tell me, could you see it immediately when you came in, and the floors were carpeted, and
I mean, the building laid itself out. The windows, the way the windows laid out, the way the rooms were shaped, and it took such little imagination to get it to here. It was just a matter of working, doing the work.
But you must have taken out interior walls and
dividers. A little bit, but a lot of the walls were actually masonry walls, the plaster right on them, and they're integral to the structure of the building. Yeah. So we were really limited in terms of what we could do to adapt it to a residential floor plan. Yeah. The real bigger challenge was to get plumbing for all the kitchens and all the bathrooms.
That's right. So how big an undertaking was that?
Well, the plumber with 30 years experience said it was the hardest job he ever worked on.
Well, you don't see any pipes. I mean, they're concealed wonderfully.
He did a good job. And we were trying to meet the federal standards for rehabilitation to make sure that we really met the highest standards for historic renovation. And I think it shows. I mean, I think all the folks who worked on this, everybody was part of the team. Everyone got the team mantra about respecting and preserving the history of the building while making it a modern luxury apartment. Yeah. And so we tried to make sure that everything that was modern in the property would be respectful, first and foremost, respectful of the history of the building. And so that was our number one goal with all the finishes, to make sure that they took second fiddle to all the historic things, and that those were to be featured, and those were the most important things to preserve and restore.
We've admired the plaster, we've admired the high ceilings, we've admired the floors, but even the modern replacements. There's
That's not that modern either.
Clever. That's not that modern. But
Well, they say to respect the history of the building.
Yeah, no, it's
And part of the history of the building was that it was once an office building.
Mhm.
So we were able to take the old office glass doors and
Ah.
repurpose them with frosted glass and new hardware to hang it as a closet door.
Oh, neat.
In a secondary
Yeah.
location. So
There
even
you
that's
go.
part of the history of the building.
That's right.
Mhm.
Wow. When we were talking to Doug Hill earlier, who spent 30 years of his life working
Yeah.
in here, and now gets to come back and.
Well, they didn't want to
Yeah.
leave the city. They needed the space, and they were very regretful about having to move out into the suburbs. They
Cool.
wanted to stay here, and they still love it here.
We appreciate having the building back on the tax rolls, frankly. So, and we like the opportunity of bringing in new residents and introducing them to city living. So
I think the goal is for people to live here who can live, work, and play downtown.
Yeah, and you can't. We were saying you can't get a more centralized location. You can walk to anything, and there's parking too. So
Everything.
What more?
And
what
we're
more
right
do you
next to
want?
the city hall and the police station.
That's right.
So we're really tied into the heart of the community.
Yeah, and you don't get a better view than of
Well, that's-
the river. Or
That's
the-
iconic to
anything
this
like
to the
this.
city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And was Mr. Briggs? Was he the grandson of John Harris?
Great-grandson.
Great grandson. That's right.
And he kept his middle name Hannah. He went by John Hannah Briggs because he was also a descendant of a famous Revolutionary War general,
Okay.
General Hannah.
Okay.
So there's those
Yeah.
streets. Briggs Street is also
Of course.
named after Hannah
Yeah.
as well. Those were a lot of the great
There we go.
men of that generation.
Yeah.
A lot of history.
That's really neat.
It's a very historic town, and then
Yeah.
it was great for me to get to discover some of that history and
Mhm.
uncover it while working on the building. So that was also very rewarding.
Yeah, and it's sort of a Victorian, moving on up too, because the old John Harris Mansion is being modernized at the same time. You said by Simon Cameron, right?
Mhm.
And that's sort of being Victorianized, and this would have been state of the art for 1863, and tons of space. I don't know how.
And it was built to last. I mean,
Yeah.
there's masonry walls, like I was saying, that you would never find in ordinary construction because this thing was built to last
Yeah.
as long as man walked this
And
earth.
indeed it has.
And it has.
So,
And it has.
150 years and still going. So,
Well, thank you so much.
Thanks for bringing it back.
Yeah, it was an honor to
Loved it.
have you here. It's an honor to get to work on this project.
Yeah, wonderful. Great work.
Thanks, Mayor.
Okay.
Thank you all for coming today to the grand opening here at the Briggs House. I'm Nicole Conway. I'm the Executive Vice President and General Counsel for the Barton Group. And it's my pleasure this morning actually this afternoon, to introduce Ralph Barton, who's our Chairman and CEO. I just wanted to point out before we start that this is actually our 40-year anniversary of Barton Group. So this is a very special year for us. We have a lot of... And this is hopefully not the last of very many great projects that we're going to be unveiling this year. So I will turn it over to Ralph.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for being here. I want to tell you a little bit about the project and about the property. So this house was built at the height of the Civil War in 1863. It was built by John Hannah Briggs, who was one of the prominent people of his generation. Briggs was the president of what was then the Borough Council for 8 years, a direct descendant of John Harris Jr., and he married his first cousin, who was also a direct descendant of John Harris Jr. He was a prominent attorney, and he built this great house, one of two houses that was built that year, and the other one is the Simon Cameron Mansion down Front Street. So the property is over 150 years old, and over the years it's been used in a lot of different ways. After the Briggs family lived here, it was home of the Seiler School for several decades. When that school merged into the Harrisburg Academy, it then became offices, and the county, followed by the County Commissioners Association, used this property for office space up until last year. So last year, I, along with members of the team, came up with this concept for this project to convert it back to residential use. Now it has been transformed into 7 luxury riverfront apartments. I do want to call out one of the team members who's here is the architect, KD3 Design Studio. They were the architect in the job, and they also helped a lot with the interior design. So kudos to them, and thank you for helping make this a beautiful project. I hope you'll agree. It turned out really beautiful. They are rental apartments, and there's 7 of them. Mostly 1 bedroom. There's also a 2-bedroom and a studio unit. The properties range in square footage from 900 square feet to a little over 1,100 square feet. The property's 4 stories, has river views, and it has a parking lot attached to it as well, so there's off-street parking available. So that's a little bit about the project. Thank you all for being here. We're really happy to unveil the project. I hope you got to get a tour and you got to see some of the finishes in the rooms and a lot of the historic features that have survived thanks to wonderful ownership over the last 150 years. All the predecessors have done a great job maintaining this property, and it's now next man up. So now it's up to the next generation of people who are going to be living here to hopefully take care of it for the next 150 years. So with that, I would like to turn it over to Doug Hill and Dave Black, who have a little presentation for us, I believe.
Go far, and we won't be long. As Ralph said, I'm Dave Black of the Chamber of Creedy. This is Doug Hill with the County Commissioners Association. And we didn't rehearse this at all, by the way. We just crashed Ralph's party. We do have a proclamation on behalf of the Dauphin County Commissioners, and there is some significance to that. And I'll have Doug actually, you want to tell them where we are?
Sure, yeah. I'm Doug Hill, I'm Executive Director of the County Commissioners Association of Pennsylvania. And for 30 years, this was the home of our organization from 1984 until, as Ralph said, just last summer. And in fact, quite literally, I sat in that corner for those 30 years running the organization. And we did what we could do to honor the historic character of this building and its neighborhood during our term of ownership. Obviously within the context of being an office space. And when Ralph said that he wanted to buy it and turn it back into residential, we were absolutely thrilled, and even more thrilled to be part of this today and see what a magnificent project this has become. Thank you, Ralph.
You can applaud. In addition to having the Dauphin County Commissioners, Doug and I were kind of laughing about this because in my varied background, from the mid-'80s to the mid-'90s, was a county commissioner from another part of the state, and had many a meeting in this very building, and have some very fond memories of my time in county government. Probably largely had to do with the opportunity to leave my county. I would I'm not going to read the entire proclamation from the Dauphin County Commissioners. They were not available to join us today, but on behalf of Jeff Hayes, Mike Priest, and George Harwick, I'll just read the final paragraph. We join with the 270,000 residents of Dauphin County in celebrating the grand opening of the John H. Briggs House, and in honor of this significant investment in our county and in celebration of its ribbon cutting, we do hereby proudly proclaim March 26, 2015 as the Briggs House opening day in Dauphin County, signed the Dauphin County Commissioners. Congratulations, Ralph, and thank you.
We also have here with us today a representative from Harrisburg City Council, Ms. Shemaine Daniels.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Shemaine Daniels, and I chair the Building and Housing Committee for the City of Harrisburg. And this is actually probably the first experience I had with the land development project. So I'm really happy to see a project that we approved at City Council come full circle, and it will provide wonderful, beautiful housing for residents and professionals, makes the most of the natural environment that we live in, which is one of the great assets of the city, and very importantly, preserves a building that's on the National Historic Register and doesn't demolish it. So for all of those reasons, I'm really excited about this project. I look forward to it being occupied, and probably the best value any resident in this building has or gets is that if they have any problems at all, they can just complain to City Council just a few buildings over. So thank you so much, Mr. Martin, for all of the work you've done for the city.
Lastly, we would like to invite Mayor Pappenfuss to come up and give us some closing remarks, and then we will cut the ribbon and declare the building officially open. Mayor?
Okay, thank you, Nicole. Well, let me first say congratulations to the Bartan Group, 40 years. That is incredibly impressive. Thank you for your willingness to invest in the city of Harrisburg and to do this project. Imagine this building 150 years ago. Imagine looking out of the windows, no city island, no modern railroad bridge, no paved street at all in front. I just came from my office and I was looking at the old bird's eye view of the road, and much of this was not developed. And imagine what a pioneer Mr. Briggs must have been right in the middle of the Civil War, with literally Harrisburg almost under siege, deciding that they're going to build a beautiful mansion right here on this spot. So I love it. I love the floors. I love all of the historic flourishes, all of which have been brought back to life and beautifully preserved. But I also love the modern amenities. That's the nicest bathroom and shower I've seen. Gotta check that out. Look at this. I mean, this is why people want to live in the city. They can get wonderful space, beautiful views, modern amenities, and historic charm all in one place and all within a short walking distance of everywhere in the downtown. And there happens to be parking available as well. So we have 7 new apartments here, which means we're going to have 7 new or more city residents all coming here, and we appreciate that so much. A couple facts and figures about the project. 32 construction jobs over the course of over the last several months, and I have a special place in my heart for this project because every morning I drive down Front Street and I turn right in front of the building, and I would see people hard at work and continue to eagerly anticipate when this would be finished. And I saw dumpster after dumpster being filled, and I know how much work has gone into the transformation here. And indeed, it represents $1.1 million of private investment in a project right here on Front Street. So thank you for that investment. And I would be remiss if I didn't say, most excitedly of all, in part, from the city standpoint, is that this building is now back on the tax rolls. So you took a building that was off the tax rolls, you put it back on the tax rolls, it's contributing over $20,000 a year in taxes, and when you add that to the new residents and all that they will contribute, this is exactly what we want to see. So thank you for the vision of the Bartan Group. Thank you for investing in this beautiful historic building. I hope you'll all get a chance to walk through and spread the word. Are all 7 of the apartments currently available?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's get the word out here. It'd be a great place to live. I can't imagine a more beautiful view than right out that window. So congratulations, and let's cut the ribbon. And I too have a proclamation that we shall leave in honor of this great day.
Thanks, Mayor.
Yes?
Okay, we'd like to invite our architects to please step forward. I'd like to invite our other friends, Dave and Doug, to step forward, please. Mayor, would you like to have the honors?
If you would like me to, I would be happy to. Look at the scissors. Yes.
Right.
Get in here.
Right. Oh my, well, we're gonna need a countdown. Who should we deputize? All right, give me a 3, 2, 1, ready?
3, 2, 1.
Yeah!